guys, I'm Jordan, and my group had the documentary Whose Streets. So today I'm just gonna give you a little summary about the documentary and who are some of the main characters. So a couple of main characters were Mike Brown, who this whole documentary is based upon, Wilson, who is the officer in this situation, Brittany, who is one of the main protesters in the video, her girlfriend and her daughter, as well as they show Mike Brown's father and mom a couple of times in the video. But basically, Mike Brown was 18 years old. He got shot and killed 8 times by Officer Jordyn Wilson. Apparently, Officer Wilson said that Mike basically was resisting and he was running away, and so he shot him 8 times. And the Ferguson, Missouri, they felt like there was no justice for this, and it was unnecessary, and it was a hateful crime and police brutality, and so they began to protest. And the main title of the protest was "Hands Up, Don't Shoot," and they walked down the streets of Ferguson, Missouri with their hands up and signs and chanting that they wanted justice and they wanted peace. And it was a very non-violent act. However, it became violent when the mayor of Ferguson, Missouri sent in the National Guard and a lot of law enforcement to keep the people out of the streets and protesting as much, which actually made them more angry and caused them to burn down buildings and burn down gas stations, to burn down, to just mess up the city. But the people of Ferguson were upset because the police saw themselves trying to detain the situation, but they were creating more violence because the people of Ferguson felt as though that this was their city and their safe space, and they're coming in telling them that they need to leave their safe space or they need to go home, or just kind of proving the point that they can't get justice even with peace and nonviolence. So that was mainly what it was all about. The whole entire documentary, it was about fighting for Mike Brown and the justice of Mike Brown. Brittany played a big part in that. She wanted to make sure that you have to be Black and be proud that you're Black and stand up for your rights and justice, and that honestly Black is not the thing that she was mainly fighting for, though. It was the fact that they're also human and they have just as much as a right and just as much as a voice as somebody with a badge. And so that's what she was fighting for. And she had her daughter in the documentary a lot, explaining that she wanted her daughter to know that you have to fight for what you believe in. And Brittany was arrested in this documentary because she was trying to keep the people from driving on the highway so that they could protest. So she was arrested for that. So the documentary just continues to just show the violence from the police doing tear gas and just kind of upsetting the people of Ferguson, Missouri, because they felt as though they weren't able to fight for what they believed in. Everything was wrong, and they just felt violated in their own personal city for being nonviolent in the situation. And then it talked about how the media shows a certain way about the city, and all they see is, they're burning down buildings. But what these people were fighting in Ferguson was that this is a building, but there's a building and there's a life. And Mike Brown, you can't bring him back, but a building, you can bring a building, you can make another building. So it's like, how is there a correlation? Why are you so mad about a building and not as infuriated as a city when it comes to a boy that was 18 that was shot and killed? And then on the media, it was also flipped that the reason why Mike Brown got shot and killed was because of a cigar investigation, how he was stealing right before the incident, but that was never brought up until after the fact. And then what really set the city on fire and turned the city up in Ferguson was the fact that the officer had no probable cause of getting convicted. So that was announced by the prosecutor, and so nothing happened to him. But just all in all, people are still fighting in Ferguson, Missouri for just justice and against police brutality, and just for their rights, and to know that they are also human. So my question to you guys is, does the media influence violence? Like, does the media influence make a bigger impact on the protesters and make them more violent when they were nonviolent and peaceful and just walking the streets, not hurting anybody? But then when they had media involved and law enforcement involved, do you think that caused them to react and actually made the issue worse than making it better? Thanks. Bye.